If you've ever noticed how everything in the third dimension is referred to as some form of a ship, relationship, friendship, partnership, ownership, citizenship, it's because we are vessels out at sea. And I'm not even talking about maritime law here, because that's even a construct of the 3D that is based on cosmic principles. Being vessels out at sea, being the vessel, is talking about your consciousness. That sea is the cosmic womb. So we are navigating throughout the universe based on our consciousness, the level or the frequency of our consciousness. That is how we used to buy our way in and out of the 3D. So when the concept of slavery comes in, they didn't land on Africa, they landed in Africa, because Africa is a frequency. I have a video on the true meaning etymologically of Africa, which takes us back to the divine feminine, because Africa comes from a Dravidian word meaning afar, which is spirit. Okay, so Africa is a frequency. Keep that in mind. Now, while we are under this narcissistic spell, narc is the narcotic. So we are under the influence of something artificial, some form of physical dimensional construct, because we are in the masculine realm, and to be anchored here is to be in a state of lack consciously. So going back to us being vessels out at sea, true currency is not really money in the way that we know of it in the 3D, but true currency is the current or the electrical impulse that fires us throughout the galaxy. So consciously we can show up and travel anywhere we want to be. This is the science behind making quantum leaps. The sea, of course, is the waters of the cosmic womb. So money is symbolic to moon E. It is moon energy, which means that we are powered by the feminine or the spirit, which on the earth realm we know of as the heart chakra frequency. Because if you take the word earth and you descramble the words to unlock the true code, you get the heart. The heart chakra, not by coincidence, also happens to be on the landmass that we know of as Africa. But Africa, again, is not a place. It is a people. The people are symbolic to the alignment of which the cosmos vibrate. Okay? Now, them taking us from Africa is not necessarily us physically being taken from Africa, but as we became more and more anchored into the third dimension and we started to align or buy into these artificial constructs using our energetic presence, this is why they harvest our energy and keep us locked in to these artificial narratives that we see on the media and on our news feeds, right? Because energy is currency. Energy is money, right? They are separating us from the source, which is our divine femininity. But they didn't actually physically do that at first, because slavery is just the anchorage that is our mindsets that separated us from the oneness of the universe. So everything became split. Once there was a split in consciousness, we were locked in. We were officially locked into the masculine realm. Okay? That is why the masculine realm, or the physical, to be here in the physical, became a university for you to relearn how to access your divine memory. So that in your divine memory is the GPS, so that you can navigate throughout the galaxies at your will. So that free will was taken from us when we became subject to this narcissistic spell. And the spell is only the molecular slowing of our frequency that densified us into matter and took us away from our etheric or formless bodies. So slavery in its original form was when the mind was first split and put to sleep. This is the science of the deep sleep. I talk about this on my YouTube channel. The video is titled Life is But a Dream. So it's the separation from the source, because we are vessels out at sea. That vessel is just the consciousness or the rate at which we are vibrating, because everything is a waveform. Everything is essentially spiraling. That's why they call it spiritual, because it's a spiral ritual. So slavery was taught to us in the way that it was, because the way in which it is taught makes us inferior to the patriarchal narrative. And that's where they come in, because the power, now that we are in our dormant state, they are able to convince us to give our powers away. So in order to break the spell, the narcissistic spell of indoctrination that got us thinking that the earth realm or the matrix is hell, in order to fully usher in the true rapture, which is the activation of your DNA and the memory of the true self, is to be liberated and know exactly where you come from, knowing that the separation of your consciousness is the illusion, because consciousness is the collective and the collective is you. So essentially, slavery isn't at all about being taken up. It's about your inability to consciously exit or benefit from the voluntary participation in third dimensional constructs.